last we left off, Corde, a Hellguard, or a specialty warrior from the Nine Hells, had escaped the Abyss with Alira, a celestial being or angel. They traveled from the Abyss toward the material plane known as a Pyrrhon. Traveling through these divine means had meant chaotic backlash as they were thrust from this planar current violently. Corde fell from the sky and tried to cushion his fall by landing in a forest called the Smaragd Mare. Meanwhile, Alira landed upon the island in the middle of a lake. Now, barely conscious and breathing, Corde stands ready for a potential threat lurking within the shadows of this new terrain. Hello, Daring Dice Rollers, and welcome to episode 2 of Devil in the Details. You're going to see a few things that have changed so far. First things first, I'm the realist. Second thing, you're going to see, of course, my brand new avatar, homunculus, whatever. He's dancing around on the screen right now. See, look at him. Hello. Anyways, decided to have some sort of representation of me while I'm talking and give you something else to look at, I think. Second thing, you're going to see the setup for the game look a little different from episode 1. I was a little ambitious and I realized I hate editing videos. So I've decided to make it a little bit easier for me to edit in the long run. Hopefully that means quicker videos coming out because right now we're looking at watch, not on my wrist, about 5 months or so since my last video. So hopefully this means that things go a little bit quicker and I'm able to actually, play the game that I want to. Second, it doesn't matter. Next, you're going to see Corde has different stats. Or not really stats, more of different spells. That's because I've updated from D&D 5th edition to D&D 5th edition 2024. They've got to find a better name for that edition. Regardless, he gets Bane and Charm Person. He loses Guiding Bolt and Cure Wounds. He also gains Firebolt. What that changes in the grand scheme of things? Not much. I'm hoping to pick those two up anyways because Celestial Warlock casting Heal and a Sparkly Bolt still fits the vibe. But I wanted to kind of update and try to play around with these new rules as I learn them as well. I think that is everything. If you have any suggestions on what I should call my little homunculus, I don't know what else to call him besides my name, and that's kind of lame. Anyways, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoy the game. On with the show! Yay! Sorry, he's just so cute. Yeah. All right, I'm back. With Corde in the Smaragd Mare, I feel like the expected scene is definitely him at 1 hit point, coming face to face with the denizen of the forest. I think before we determine whether the scene plays out as expected or not, though, we need to determine the denizen a bit. So let's ask Fate if the creature is immediately hostile to Corde. I'd say it's a 50-50 on whether the creature's hostile. I rolled a 19 against the 65% that I need. Almost an exceptional yes. That means, yeah, he's definitely going to have a fight coming up on him. So the expected scene is Corde having to face down a hostile creature with no support at all. We have a 9 over the chaos factor of 6, so Corde is facing down a creature or entity that's hostile to him. To determine what or who it is, we need to consider the context. This creature is either sentient or not. There's no in between. So we need to ask Fate, is this creature sentient? I'm defining sentient as really the difference between a humanoid and beast. I'm sure there's a better word for it, but all that matters is that I know what I mean. Okay, back off. I'd say it's more likely the creature is a beast than humanoid, so I'd say the chances are unlikely. I got a 64 against the 35 that I need. So no, the creature is not humanoid, being like a goblin, for instance. It's more primal or bestial. For this encounter, I'm going to be using Kobold Fight Club to help generate a potential threat. I'm limiting the narrative environment to forest, farmland, mountains, mountain, I don't know why they're split up, hills, planar, ruins, and grassland. I'm going to roll d4 to determine the difficulty, with 1 being easy and 4 being deadly. I rolled a 3, which means it's going to be a hard encounter. Since this encounter is hard, I'm going to take the liberty to say that this is a boss in Kobold Fight Club just to make it spicier. I rolled on Kobold Fight Club with no restrictions or sources because I'm a devious fiend and I'm not joking. I got Teacup Pegasus. Own me now, and I'm 6 feet from a Pegasus. What an absolute gift I have been given. I don't know if I'll document every time I roll on the encounter table as closely as I have just now, unless people find it super interesting, but just know that I'm going to be following this process for pretty much every fight, unless stated otherwise from here on out. Corde, in the crater of his fall, tries to stand up to ready himself against whatever might be lurking in the forest. He's woozy, with only a hit point left. With such a strain on his body, it's only natural to see if he's exhausted. Unfortunately, intermingling his fiendish blood with the Celestials through a planar tunnel doesn't go well with his physiology, as his body is still sluggish from falling from such great heights. Rolling a con save with a 2 brings it down with his -1 to a 1. He suffers exhaustion. As he stands, he sees a blur in the shadowed forest, whizzing past him with a squeal. Corde ducks and climbs out of the crater, gripping grass in his lithe fingers. "What the hells?" he shouts. "Show yourself and die!" I rolled on the animal actions table and I got a 55, which means imprison. They're under orders, this Pegasus, it seems, or at least they're looking to secure a later meal. With the intimidation DC of hard at 17, Corde rolls a 19. With a +5 is 24, but I did this during the previous 5th edition rules, which means while he's exhausted, he rolled with disadvantage. I rolled a 5 with that +5 and got a 10 total. Corde flares his eyes aflame, and though he is near naked, his imposing devilish nature causes the shadows to stretch and light to fade. He sees the creature, finally, a teacup Pegasus, a common familiar. "I've eaten stronger breeds as appetizers in the darkest pits of hell," he shouts, reaching for his blade to find it gone. What the? There's a squeal. And the teacup Pegasus is on him immediately. It breaches the tree line of the small crater and lets loose an oink with its big, adorable blue eyes gazing at Corde, who sneers. Roll initiative. Corde has a 17 plus 2, or 19. The Pegasus has a +3 to Dex and rolled a 10, so 13. Corde goes first. Corde holds a hand out at the Pegasus and utters infernal words that contort reality as a ball of inky energy flies forth. Rolled a 9 plus 5 for a 14. The Pegasus AC is 13. He deals 8 force damage. The Pegasus has 2d4 plus 2, 8 total hit points. As that is all the hit points it has, it's gonna be defeated. Corde would definitely be out for blood as he is on his last legs, but I do need to ask Fate whether this Pegasus was under orders, like a familiar, to some other entity. With the chaos factor being 6, I'm much more likely to get a yes to this question. Is the Pegasus a familiar to another entity? Because I got the animal intent of imprison, and the lore of the Pegasus, as stated by Reddit user 1D6 Adventures, says that the teacup Pegasus can be used as a familiar, I'm going to say it is very likely that they are acting under the will of another creature. With the proximity to the Monolith Observatory, which we might learn about later, it's safe to assume it might be a wizard, but it could be an extraplanar entity, who's to say? I rolled an 85, right on the edge of yes, so the Pegasus is following orders from something else. We don't need to know for sure what it is just quite yet. The Pegasus snorts with mud clinging to its underside as Corde's blast of otherworldly energy connects with it. In an oink and a crash, the Pegasus is sent spiraling into a tree nearby, where it poofs into feathers that slowly fall to the ground. Breathing heavy, Corde looks at the feathers as they fall, and realization starts to rise inside his exhausted mind. A familiar? Why would? He kneels in the dirt after climbing out of the crater, inspects the feathers left behind. He's making an investigation roll to see if he can gather any information on the familiar that he had slain. Using the table, I think it's going to be pretty hard to gather information from just feathers left behind. With a 1 on the d6, it's a DC 15 ability check. Corde rolled a 12 plus 1, or 13. He doesn't learn anything of value. Corde picks up one of the white feathers of the teacup Pegasus and holds it between his fingers. Perhaps markings left behind? Or residual magic could lead me to... We hear another oink, and the feather fades from existence, leaving no trace of anything besides a splatter of mud on the tree and the imprint of a pig's behind. Fine, he says, adjusting his... Oh, he's naked. He reaches for clothes from the crater, but sees them burned and singed from the fall with several holes from tree branches. Tatters. I saw a village not far. I'll nab something from those idiots and make my way to that tower. I'm sure there's a fisherman in need of being slain and relieved of their boat. Corde, exposed to the elements of the crisp spring air, begins their exhausted trip through the Smaragd Mare toward an unnamed village, unaware of what might be in store for him there, until he reaches a tree line that reveals a village in a clearing. Corde smirks with pointed teeth as he scopes the area out, the sun falling from noon to the later half of the day. Shadows now stretch from Corde towards the village, the branches forming claws of darkness toward an unsuspecting place. And that is where we're going to end our session for today. Let's do some more bookkeeping to update the lists and our chaos factor. I feel like we definitely need to add the mysterious individual of the Pegasus Keeper, so I'll call them that in our character list right now. I'll also add a thread of find clothes and supplies for the journey to the tower on the lake. I thought about adding a thread for the Pegasus Keeper too, but I don't think Corde has much interest in that unless it directly starts to impact him. So we'll keep that a character list for now. For the chaos factor, I definitely feel like Corde had control of the scene, so I'll be lowering the chaos factor back down to 5. Finally, experience points. I'm keeping track of XP as we go against creatures we fight, but I'm also following the Baldur's Gate 3 school of XP thought by handing out for social encounters, discovering or exploring locations, and completing story beats. I'll be using the XP by level table used in the DMG with some very loose associations for easy, medium, hard, and deadly. For defeating the Teacup Pegasus, Corde gets 50 experience points as that was a medium encounter. This concludes session 2 of The Devil in the Details. See you next time for session 3, Abhorrent Behavior. Please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, enable notifications to be alerted when I upload a new video, and comment below what you think this campaign should be called overall. I'm at a loss for potential names, but I'm a sucker for puns. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure, and remember, the devil is in the details.